Greetings, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Gardening with Daddy Pete. I'm Melvin York.
And I am Jay York.
And with us today here is we also, if you'll look on your screen, we do have the Daddy Pete website up. It's Gardening with Daddy Pete. If you go to our podcast, and you'll be able to see that on our videos if you do through the YouTube channel. Also, you can go to our website, which is daddypetes.com, and look around our page. And if you'll look, slide right on down after those three good-looking guys right there faces, you can see the bars to click for our podcast, for YouTube videos on how to, and right on down in the white area it says click here to send us your question. Now when you click there, you'll also have a place to where you can join. We send out a e-newsletter once a month on telling you what you can do in your garden for that month, and some handy tips also for you people. Now, I wanted to say ladies, but we've got a lot of men that cooks too. So we do have recipes, cooking ideas on how you can use some of this great stuff you've grown in your garden. Also, with our podcasts, we need to do something else. What is it?
Yeah, so wherever you're listening today, if you're on Podbean, if you're on Apple, Spotify, if you're watching us on YouTube and getting to see our beautiful smiling faces this morning, don't forget, if you can, every little bit of engagement surely does help us out. So don't forget to add us to your favorites and definitely subscribe so you don't miss the next episode of In the Garden with Daddy Pete. Especially if you're watching on YouTube as well, where you can leave a comment on the platform. Today, what we're going to be getting into is some question and answer sessions.
Yeah, and I think you can also like and share these too.
Absolutely. Sharing anything definitely helps us out. But the comments on YouTube is a good way. You know, as you're watching along, you think of a comment, that's an easy way. Just shoot it right into us.
Yeah, and just to let you know, we are going to do that. We're going to go through and kind of navigate the page here in just a little bit. So I'm going to slide on right back up to the top of our web page, and I'm going to navigate over the top where it gives you everything to look for, even a place for where you can buy under our certified dealers. Where to buy was one of those. Actually, the certified dealers is for our dealers. But where to buy, you can click on that. But we're going to go to the products today, and we have so many questions on what we can use things for and what's not. So just to give you an example, I've got two emails the first thing this morning, and I wanted to share those with you and kind of answer those. And again, I will directly answer these emails when we get done with the podcast today. But we do thank these people for sending them in. So I'm going to read you and answer just a couple of these questions. And the first question that I got today was from Jacqueline. And Jacqueline is in the Hickory area of North Carolina. And her question is simply this. And I think we already had some other questions that goes along with this, and so we're going to answer that. But if we go back over it again, it's still fine. She said, I grow a lot of aloe. I need a bag of soil that is low in nitrogen and higher in sand content. What do you suggest, and where can I get it? Okay. Again, we just went through the part of where you could go to the web page and click on where to buy, and that's going to give you you put in your zip code there, it gives you all the places near you that you can buy our Daddy Pete products. Now she's growing aloe, so aloe is going to have about the same content or need the same content in the mix as cacti, a lot of other things. It doesn't require a whole lot of moisture, but does require a lot of drainage. And do we have a cacti succulent aloe mix? No, we didn't. We do not. But I do have a solution. If you'll look here, and I'm going to click on our See and Farm. I'm going to bring that page up so you can see it, see the soil. The See and Farm is a mix. It does have a lot of perlite in it. It already has a lot of drainage. It does have the organic matters, and it does have the organic fertilizers, which the nitrogen content of an organic is not like the nitrogen content of a commercial fertilizer. It's going to release at a different rate and be more beneficial to some of the plants that may be nitrogen sensitive through a commercial fertilizer. Now, what I recommend, and I have a lot of people, you kind of make your own mix, because most people that do grow succulents or cacti or even the aloe vera, which I consider the succulent, what they do, and I've told them many times with success, buy our See and Farm mix and mix 30 to 35% sharp sand with this. This makes a good mix for the above, the succulents, the cacti, the aloe vera, and that makes a good mix. It still has the organic matter, still provides the nutrients that the plants need, but it gives you that extra drainage that's required to grow these type plants. So, Jacqueline, that's for you there. And if you're listening this morning, I still will give you a answer back on your email. And I do have another one we shot in here this morning. Let me see what it is. This is from Bo. And Bo says, hello, I'm a beginner gardener building a bucket garden. Now, I do like that. That's in our container garden section. And again, we have more questions on that one. So, well, let me answer Bo. He says, I've been researching the best soil to use so I don't have to mix my own. The peat light looks like it has all the ingredients I'm looking for, especially the peat moss, which I'm told to be an important ingredient when using buckets with the GrowTech bucket watering insert. My concern is that the peat light product does not mention anything about being suitable for containers and buckets or using for vegetables. I do see the potting mix page mentions that specifically, but it lacks peat moss ingredient. Would it be okay using peat light in the vegetables? Well, to answer your question, yes, you can use the peat light, and it does have some peat moss in it. But you could also use the potting mix. Our potting mix, our compost that we make out of our dairy cow manure, has the same characteristics of peat moss, only it has nutrients. So if you have the question to like Bo did here, you can use our potting mix, and it works fine. If you're looking for something with a little bit more characteristic in buckets, a lot of the time, or container garden, I like to recommend our raised bed mix. But either one, the potting mix would work fine. So, Bo, that's the answer to that, and I will be getting back to you shortly after the podcast with an email. And but if you happen to be listening this morning, then there's your answer. You can go ahead and get started on getting that bucket garden going. Okay, Jay, what are some of the other questions we've had?
Yeah, so as we're navigating the website, you can kind of see that everything's broken down into sections, with it being your fertilizers and amendments is one of the first things you see, and that's really the base of some of our mixes with the composted cow manure. So a question that we get oftentimes is, what is a soil amendment? And number two, why do I need one?
Well, soil amendments is basically this. Anytime that you amend soil, what you're doing is you're adding either nutrients and or organic matter to a clay, to a sand soil, to change the structure of that soil to make it more favorable to growing whatever crop or plant, shrub or tree that you're doing. Let's take, for instance, you can amend soil in different ways. Okay, we've got different products. Now, if you're our friends down towards the coast and you've got a sandy soil and you're wanting to amend it to get more nutrients, to get a more stable soil-like media for your plants, you can add our dairy compost to your sand, use it as a 50-50 mixture. Our kicking chicken, you can use it about a 40% mixture with your sand, or our mushroom compost, which is a good one to add at 50-50%. and it does make a great soil. Sand already provides the drainage. These products do not have the drainage capability. They're an amendment or a fertilization or a nutrient program. So you do not plant directly, and I think that's one of our questions for today. These products here, you do not plant directly in. And they say, well, wait a minute. That's compost. We plant in compost. A lot of people plant in compost. If you make your own compost at home, you're going to make it with sticks. You're going to do this, and you're going to make it a lot coarser than what these mixes are, because we have actually screened these to give you the concentrated part, so to speak. You're not paying for sticks and all. So we're counting it as nutrients, fertilization, or for an amendment for like the sand. Now, if you do have red clay and you've amended it with something like pine bark, a permatill, something like that, and you just want to add nutrients, and you already have went through the process of giving that clay soil drainage, again, you can add these products to this. Even if you haven't added drainage, it will still provide some. But we have other mixes that I recommend for that, and we'll slide right down here if you're doing clay soil, and it works real well, and it's called our planting mix. And our planting mix works well in planting trees, shrubs, whatever. But it also is a great amendment. Okay. I think on this one we have a mix of what, 50?
Yep, 50-50, blending with your existing soil. And a good way, if you're going into your garden center and you happen to not remember what we were talking about, man, which one do I get to blend in there? Just remember, if you're in, the Piedmont of North Carolina, you're getting that red clay, just remember that bag's going to be the same color as the dirt that you're putting it in. Get that orange label. Yeah. Mix it with the orange stuff.
And the 50-50 mix this is 50% aged pine bark pines and 50% our dairy compost. So, and it works well. A lot of people in our area, we have heard, and we think they curse the red clay. But actually, red clay, with an amendment of 50-50, makes one of the best growing media or soils that's around. I mean, clay does hold nutrients, whereas strictly organic, if you plant in it, works well in pots and things, even in a raised bed where you can contain it. But organic matter will allow, because of the drainage is sometimes quite a bit, you can leach out some of the nutrients in just a pure organic mix. Whereas the clay, when you mix it 50-50, you do get that nutrient holding capability. Clay helps, especially in gardens or row gardens. It helps stabilize some of your bigger plants like corn, okra, some of the bigger plants, and the winds that we have, and also clay soil is your friend if it's amended right. And if you want to amend that, go in with the Daddy Pete's planting mix. Also, with that planting mix, let me just go ahead and get there too. We have another one. If you want to give it a little more permanent aeration, and if I can get my website to pull it up here, but there we go. We have a planting mix with permatill. Permatill is a furnace-fired shale, a little small, light gravel, okay? And that does give you a permanent aeration where it doesn't decompose like pine bark pine.
And there's an added benefit to that permatill as well. If you have a plant that is susceptible to vole, for a better lack of words, vole attacks, the voles like to eat on those roots, that furnace-fired shale, that's going to get kind of stuck in their snouts, and that's going to deter vole activity. So one of the questions that we had, kind of jumping ahead to, product application type things is, I have this plant, I have this plant. So what are some plants, if somebody is planting in their existing soil wanting to get that 50-50 mix, but they need to deter voles too, what would they use that permatill mix for?
Well, this planting mix is good, and especially this time of year when you have Mother's Day coming on, a lot of people buy their mother roses, and they'll buy rose bushes. and which is beautiful year after year. We've done some YouTube videos, and we've also done some podcasts on caring for roses. And if you have any questions for that, we'll do it again. But one thing that voles love is the roots of roses. Now, a vole, keep in mind, is different from a mole. And the way to keep that in mind in your head to know the difference, just use the first letter of each one of them's name. Vole is a vegetation eater. It likes roots. It runs just right under the ground. It'll eat the roots, snap it off. You go out one day, your rose bush looks fine. You just planted. The next day, it looks like it's wilting or dying. If you walk over, and I'll promise you can pick it right up because they have gnawed the roots plumb off of it. Mole, on the other hand, you see in your lawns a lot, and they're usually eating grubs, grub worms, that type activity. They are meat eaters, moles. They don't eat vegetation. They meat or the worms or whatever that's in your lawn. So two different things. The mole's even actually a bigger animal, but your voles are the one, and they like to stay in the woody type leaves over area, or if you've got perennial beds or
got a mulch.
Oh yeah, a heavy mulched area that's up against the woods, and that's where they like to do, right up under there, so that predators can't see them. They have somewhere to hide. So next to the woody areas, they're not so bad to get in mulch if you have a mulch bed out in the open in your yard when you've done it. Yeah. So anyhow, maybe that answers that question, but that's your Daddy Pete's planting mix, and it has permatill added to the mix. So you can see that there. And it's just our composted cow manure, it's our aged pine bark pines, and permatill. So that's a good amendment and a good planting mix. So you could use it either way also. Okay? Well, some of the other questions we have, Jay.
So that's a good transition question right there too. So our first question was, what is a soil amendment and how do I use it? So now as we're navigating the website, you're moving into a different section of your mixes. So where do you use an amendment versus using a mix? And we kind of talked on that too. Planting in existing soil, having your row gardens, top dressing, that's where your amendments are going to shine.
Right.
So what is going to be the advantage of having a mix versus just buying and making your own amended soil? If you were, what are some applications that the mix is going to shine?
All right, well, let's take one out of here. Let's one that's one of our biggest seller. We actually put this together, and as far as I know, we were probably the first one to have this mix, a raised bed mix, because we seen that the raised beds were going to be the going way to do. Raised beds, for square foot per square foot, you're going to get more vegetables, less work. You can control the watering. I know that I've row gardened my whole life. I've had springs come where we get these torrential rains for a couple of weeks. I stood in the garden. I go back. My plants were beautiful, and all of a sudden, when the sun comes out for a day, my plants are dying. What's going on? My plants actually drowned. The roots did. Plants, just like a human being, it has to have the right amount of air, the right amount of water, and when the water goes into the level, it cuts off the oxygen, and the roots actually pick up a disease and die, or they actually drown. So raised beds was the way to go. Daddy Pete has a raised bed mix here, and we're awful proud of it. It works well, and it's one of our biggest items, one of our sellers. The raised bed mix works well in your raised beds, okay? But again, raised bed mix can also be used in containers.
And that's a question that we receive a lot too. So your average homeowner, let's say that they, in early April, they're building their raised bed. They go and buy X amount of bags. Well, they kind of bought a little heavy so they didn't have to make 2 or 3 trips to the store for their local independent garden center. And so they come back out and they've got these 2 bags that are sitting there. Well, a month later, it's Mother's Day. Well, we're wanting to plant Mom some roses here. We're wanting to put some petunias in a container for, whatever kind of annual or perennial that you're wanting to plant Mom for flowers. That's a question we get. Can I use this raised bed mix in a container?
The answer is yes, you can. This raised bed mix will work just as well for that. It's good if you want to do, again, herbs in pots. It works well. We have a lot of people that likes to do pot gardening. We have people that doesn't have the space for a raised bed that may live in an apartment, but they have, a deck or, they do have a balcony. But believe it or not, you can grow a lot. Herbs in a pot. You can grow green beans. You can grow tomatoes, peppers, lettuce. A lot of people like lettuce. You can do your greens in the pot. Again, that's different times of the season. That's cool weather crops. But if you want to grow summer crops, like tomatoes, peppers, green beans, works well in the pot. I know you've seen me at the house take the 5-gallon nursery pot, put 8 or 9 green bean seeds in it, and I would go out to those 3 pots and pick a mess for our whole family, which was 5 of us, and would do that, once a week. Sometimes when they first put on, twice a week. So yes, you can do that in pots.
And not to beat a dead horse, but kind of touching on what you're saying. If you want to garden, there's a way to garden. You don't have to have a 1/4 acre, half-acre plot to row garden. If you want to garden, you don't even have to have a raised bed. Kind of last episode we were talking about the bag containers. Even if you have a balcony, you have something that's just as big as this table that we're talking on. There's a way to garden. If you want to garden, don't let that hold you back.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said table, because some of us, like my age, are getting older, and it's hard to even bend down for a raised bed. You can build that raised bed as high as you want to. You can build it tabletop high if you want to. Fill the bottom with some gravel. You can take up some of the space so it's not so expensive. You're adding drainage. You can do that. You can use our professional landscape mix, which is a more coarse type mix that allows more drainage. Not a real good growing media by itself, because that's not what it's designed for. It's a good mulch and feed for some of your bushes and shrubs and trees, because it has the compost in it. But you can use that as the bottom layer and come on up and do the last 12 inches of your bed with our raised bed mix. And then we do see this in some of the older communities too. They'll build just actually a table. They have a table built outside where it's 12 inches deep type box with legs on it where people can get up under it and or slide under it if some people's in wheelchairs. That works well too. So there's always a way to grow. That's right. But one other thing, here's another question I get. Okay, I was just down at my local garden center, and lo and behold, everybody came and bought the raised bed mix out. So what do I do? I don't want to wait. Do we have an option for that?
I was going to say, do you have the product usage chart on the website there? We can pull it up and show.
If you will go to our website and look under products, click on that, pull down, and when you get here, it says check out our product usage chart. So we're going to click on that, and you will find this in the store. You find it here online. Just take your phone with you, click on here, and we're going to look up here just a minute. And if I can see, I don't know that I can see that well. But if you'll notice in vegetables, just for example, when we go down through there, it's going to tell you that you can use our raised bed mix. You can also use our lawn and garden soil, okay? And that's just a way that you can go to there. If you'll look across the top, it tells you whatever you're growing, and you'll have a check down through here, and this is the mixes that will work with that. So it's kind of a pretty easy thing to do, and you can see that. Now, your question, and I know what your next question is going to be, will it perform as well? The answer is yes. What we've done in designing these mixes, we thought ahead to some mixes that you can use on the same application, and it works well.
Not everything's a one size fits all.
Exactly. So in the mixes that we have here, some of them will do it. Now let's just take, for example, find the nursery mix here. And all of our mixes here, like the nursery blend, give you a good example. This is our nursery blend, and this is the same mix that we make for the professional growers. Their nursery mix that we do send them in tractor trailer loads in bulk of 80 and 100 yards, but it is the same professional mix in this bag. We do not change our professional mixes and say per consumer mix, make it weaker or make it different. No, you get the same quality, the same product that professional growers for their professional mix gets. But do you want to grow vegetables in nursery blend?
No.
No. And why being too much drainage?
And what's cool about that, kind of going back to what you were saying, how cool is that the transparency, I guess, that you get the same thing that is available. So if you're wanting to make the leap from, a hobby garden and you're like, hey, I want to make a career out of this. I want to make this a side hustle. I want to grow me some shrubs. You can go over there and you can get that. You don't have to become a dealer just yet. You can get it instantly. You don't have to go through a process of becoming a dealer and, placing a certain bulk order. You can buy it in small quantities and try this stuff out.
That's exactly right. And here again, though, here's another question that we had. Why would I want to buy nursery blend? Okay, I'm a homeowner. Why do I want to buy nursery blend? Well, a lot of homeowners, and after you get into gardening in a year or 2 or 3 years, as you go on, or you hook up with your garden friends that's doing something. And I'm going to give you an example. Your neighbor's got some green giant arborvitae they use for border trees. Great plant. You can go to the NC Extensions page there, look up rooting arborvitae, green giant. You can grab some cuttings from your neighbor, and this is the mix you want to put it in while you're rooting. When you're rooting something like that, you want a little bit of organic matter, but you need a lot more drainage on it to let those roots. And what you do is entice those roots to reach out, come out of that stem and reach out for its moisture. And of course, you can learn about how to propagate the green giant there. But that blend there would be a good one to use. Also, if you're doing perennials, you want to do some cuttings on perennials, or maybe you want to do some cuttings and grow some in pots and share with your friends or family, or maybe you want to get into taking something to the farmer's market. That's the case too. Then go to our perennial mix. Perennials like a lot of drainage, but not quite as much as shrubs. So we've developed this mix, and again, that's another one of our professional mixes. Yeah.
And kind of on the topic of, because I know the nursery blend has, some pine bark in it. Mm-hmm. Kind of rolling into that in the effort of wrapping things up here, keeping everything short and sweet for you guys, so we're not taking care of of your day here and taking advantage of all of your time. One big topic I think that I would like to know more about too, and I think everybody else would, our bark section. That's our final section in our 3 main components on our website. So we've got 4 different product lines. We've got the pine bark mini nuggets, the pine bark mulch, the soil enhancer, and then we have our hardwood mulch. So, Mr. Guru, the know-all, end-all, would you care to share a little light on what the advantage of pine bark mulch is versus hardwood mulch, and what the average consumer, what applications would be better for each one?
Okay, if you're mulching for looks, you've got a shredded hardwood mulch that makes a nice mat, but some people prefer more of a woody look. If you want to do that, go with our mini nuggets or our pine bark mulch, okay? But we do have a product called Soil Enhancer. Now, the difference, you say, well, why don't y'all call it soil conditioner like everybody else, all the other brands? Well, all the other brands usually buy green pine bark pines. Ours is aged. The reason that we won't sell anything that's not aged is because pine bark pines in the green state or any mulch will rob nitrogen from your soil. So in turn, unless you add a lot of nitrogen, you could actually be hurting the plants or the crops or whatever that you put these mulches around. So make sure that whatever you buy isn't aged, and it is a pure mulch, because there's a lot of mulches out there now that has added what they call mulch, is ground up pallets and things on there. Every one of our products are virgin bark, come from the trees, nothing added to it except for one thing, and that would be our professional planting mix, which is half mulch and half compost. And we use that, again, for bottom bed building. We use that again for mulch and feed. We have a lot of customers, a lot of landscapers mulch with the hardwood type mulch, but then they seen our professional landscape mix and they said, oh, well, we see where this is a benefit. We can put it around our shrubs, our trees. And the thing is, once they mulch it, and it actually feeds for that season.
It's a good combination product.
It is, and it's a very inexpensive product. But now, these what I said, if you're going to mulch for looks, sometimes you mulch for other things. Like if you need to mulch around your blueberry bushes. You don't want to use hardwood mulch around blueberries. Hardwood mulch has a higher pH than pine bark mulch. So you either want to use the mini nuggets, the pine bark mulch, or you can use our soil enhancer, which is a smaller pine bark fine. Again, they've all been aged, so you're not putting anything green around it. Now, so you want to keep in mind when you're doing plants with low pH requirements, azaleas, rhododendrons, the blueberries, you want to stay with the bark type mulches. Okay, the pine bark type mulches, not the hardwood mulch.
So what if we had something that we were planting on a slope? We've got a bank that we're wanting to put juniper out on. We're wanting to let something crawl. We've got a big, nice slope on the edge of our property. What kind of mulch would you recommend, pine bark or hardwood?
Again, I would go hardwood. Hardwood, the double ground hardwood mulch, is more of a shredded type. It makes more of a mat. And during some hard rains, it's going to stay on that slope or that hill a lot better than a pine bark fine or the mini nuggets and even the pine bark mulch. It's lighter. The pine bark it tends to, if you get a lot of water, to float. Whereas your hardwood mulch tends to mat and just kind of grip down where it's at. Now, I'm not saying you can't have a torrential rain. It still would wash some hardwood mulch, depending on the slope and depending on how long it's been down. But another thing about that, if you are trying to build up an area with an organic matter, hardwood mulch, believe it or not, actually breaks down quicker than pine bark does. So if you're looking at a bed and you mulch every year anyhow, you're going to grab some organic matter out of that mulch. So I guess we need to wrap it up for today. We really haven't covered everything we do. We're going to try to get back to that. But if you do have any questions at all, you can go to our website here at daddypete's.com. And again, you click here for our podcast, for YouTube gardening, and here's those questions. Let's just click on that. Put your name in. It's simple, your email, and your question. It's just that simple. Your name. You don't have to put your last name if you don't want to. Just stick your first name in there and give us your email and your question. During that email, if you want a phone call back, go ahead and include your phone call. I'll call you back. It's whatever works well for you. Just hit the submit button there and you're ready to go. So anyway, that's that.
Well, we can't thank you guys enough for listening to us here. And again, every little bit of engagement with our podcast here definitely helps. So if you're on Podbean, Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you're listening to us today, again, thank you so much for joining us today. And don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your friends. Any little thing helps us out, and so we can continue doing this. And especially me, I'm very lucky to be here. Again, if you don't know, Melvin York is my father. So we get to hang out and, shuck the corn here, and it's a good time. So we enjoy doing it.
It is. Me and this man here, Alan Smith, and he's the owner, by the way, of Daddy Pete. And this organization was named after his grandfather. And because we've worked together for years, and him and his knowledge has allowed me to be here for longer than me and Alan like to talk about. And it's been a good living for our family. And course, he's more like a brother than he is an owner. You've heard me say that before. But yes, we do appreciate any likes or any comments you have. If you're, if you're using our product and you like it, shoot an email in, and we like to hear that too. We do get some good responses off of that. But we do have a slogan here at Daddy Pete's: "We help you grow," and that's one that we live by, one that we try to fulfill, and something that we do want to do. We love to see new gardeners succeed. We want you, to try it out. And the thing that gets me is I hear a lot of people use the old phrase, "I don't have a green thumb." You don't need a green thumb. You need a brown thumb. Put your hands in the dirt, because once you get to doing it, the more you feel it, the more you live it, the more you're going to enjoy it. It's a good place to calm your mind, calm your nerves. The garden is the place to go for that. And get your hands dirty. You don't have to have a green thumb. Get a brown hand. That's what I say. Well, thank y'all for tuning in today, Jay. Good to have you here and have you on the team.
Glad to be here.
And until next time, this is us kind of signing out here with Gardening with Daddy Pete.